just love hearing Coach Lawson speak. She is just awesome coach, as all of you know. And it's been neat to follow her and to see everything that she's accomplished at Kentucky. So thankful for her and our friendship. Thank all of you on the call for your coverage. Obviously means a lot to us. And also wanted to thank everyone that reached out with our tragic loss with Ben Jordan. It's been amazing. A lot of even people on this call reaching out. The support that we've had has just been awesome and unbelievable. And those people that maybe didn't even reach out because you didn't know what to say. And I'll tell you this, I didn't know what to say as a coach. And that was extremely difficult time. Like I told our teams, maybe I wanted to spend a couple minutes talking about Ben. And maybe those of you that knew Ben or didn't know Ben, what an amazing person. He's, one of our guys described him as just a big teddy bear. He was a 6'9" teddy bear who just, man, he loved life and he loved our team. He loved our guys. He loved Kentucky. And those of you that, maybe didn't know the whole story, he was a practical joker. This guy he was just so funny. And I'll never forget the time where I approached him about playing on the basketball team. Matter of fact, he loved Kentucky so much, he was just going to put baseball on hold for a little bit and go play on our basketball team because they were in need. And I remember talking to him about it and saying, all right, Ben, you're not going to believe this, but I just got off the phone with Coach Cal. He is interested in maybe you being on the basketball team. And he could have swore up and down that I was playing the practical joke on him. He's like, all right, who put you up to this? Like, who did this? But it's been a hard time. And the thing that's probably helped a lot of the players and myself the most is just hearing all the stories, remembering the great things about Ben. And one of our guys said, Coach, if someone didn't like Ben, it was because they were probably jealous of him because of how gifted and talented he was. And so I didn't want to, start out without speaking about him. And also the amazing people we have here. We found out on the night of the national championship football game, and by 9 o'clock that next morning, we had some of the guys that were in town. Some of the guys hadn't gotten back to town. And there was Aaron Hogue praying over our guys who works through FCA here. And there's a leader of our athletic department, Mitch Barnhart. What an amazing leader. He's right there front and center. Spoke to our guys, cried with them, hugged on them. Jason Cummings, our sport administrator, our coaching staff, our staff. We have amazing people here at Kentucky. And our guys are continuing to get better at each day. The pain will never go away. Ben will never be forgotten, but we'll find ways to continue to honor him. So our guys are, going through that whole process. We just encouraged them. There's all different ways to grieve, and everything was okay. And we laughed and we cried and we spent a lot of time together. But that was the worst thing you could imagine to go through as a coach. And but I would just ask for continued prayers for Ben's family, for his dad, for his mom, his 3 sisters, just amazing people. And prayers for everyone that knew Ben, because we'll be hurting for a long time. So I didn't want to miss this opportunity to speak about what an amazing guy Ben was. So as far as our team goes, I got some brief comments here. This team is high trust, low maintenance. They're unbelievable from a standpoint of they do everything that they're asked. They are totally committed to the task at hand. This fall, we had a 3.6 team GPA. Finally, we were the highest male sport. We've been chasing that forever. Finally got that. We highest GPA in the history of our program. And you hear me talk all the time about the student person player. And we've had tremendous leadership. They really like each other from the first day they got on campus. It was just like, bam, they clicked. The guys keep telling me, Coach, I can't tell you how close this team is. And obviously been through a lot of adversity already. I believe that the team will continue to grow closer. They're committed to our team and the goals, and that's been really fun to coach. It's been really fun to coach. As far as the schedule, you guys saw our schedule. As in the SEC, as coaches, we decided to keep the regular format of 56 games. As you see, there's a lot of schools out there that's kind of deferred and gone another way. We chose to keep the 56 games. Right now, we currently have one midweek game to be filled, and then our schedule is totally complete. There's been a lot of change, as you guys know. We have 10 SEC series, and 9 of them are against ranked opponents. So that's exciting. As you guys all know, I love playing a tough schedule. We open up at North Carolina again this year. So I'm excited about that. As far as the attendance goes, I'm up in the press box now looking at our field. They're still finalizing some of those plans for the stadium and everything. But once we add our next midweek game, we'll have 37 home games, the most in the history of the program. So we have a beautiful ballpark, and we plan on playing in it. The biggest thing we spent the most time on this fall was our defense, and we had to improve it. Used to quarantine to really evaluate all areas of our program. And one thing I realized is we have to be better defensively. So we've changed our mindset, created a whole new culture about the importance of defense, and we've gotten a lot better. This fall was really exciting to see the growth in that area. We brought in 2 players I believe that have really helped change and impact us defensively. Ryan Ritter, he'll start and be our starting shortstop. This guy can really defend at shortstop. He's as talented, if not the most talented defensive shortstop I've coached. And I don't say that lightly. I've coached a lot of really good shortstops, and, you know, those are thoughts. He's got to go out and prove it, but man, is he talented. And then Alonzo Rubalcaba is a catcher we brought in from California. This guy can really, really receive. He can really receive. And those 2 guys have, you know, helped solidify us better defensively. So excited about that. Pitching wise, the word that comes to mind for me there is depth. We have some guys that have some experience. Obviously, guys like Mason Hazelwood's back, who's thrown on the weekends. Jimmy Ramsey is a guy that has started for us. He's thrown in the bullpen. We're going to transition him back to the bullpen. We got guys like Alex Deegan, Daniel Harper, Dylan Marsh, Hunter Rigsby, Cole Stubb, Zach Lee, Cole Daniels, and Trip Lockhart. It's kind of neat to say some familiar names. So excited to have them back. The arm talent has been really good. Coach Roselle has done a fantastic job with those guys. We brought in 3 3 transfers that I believe are going to be impact guys in one way or another. Zach Kameen from D3 Co College. He's a grad transfer. Sean Harney from UMass, and Holt Jones is a transfer from Clemson. So those are 3 immediate impact guys. Want to really give Coach Coggin a lot of credit for finding those guys, and then he and Coach Roselle obviously recruiting to get them in here. They're going to be 3 big additions. And then excited about freshman pitcher Ryan Hagenow. He's our highest ranked player that we've brought in since Alex Meyer. And this guy's super talented. He's the package. You're going to hear me talk about John Rhodes in the same way. When you talk about a student person player, Ryan is a straight A student. He's an unbelievable teammate, and he's super talented. So some other guys we brought in, freshman arms, Seth Logue, Wyatt Hudipult, and Austin Strickland, just 3 really talented freshman arms that have had good falls, and now they're back up to a good spring. So offensively, the word that comes to mind for there is experience. We bring starters back at 8 of 9 spots, including DH. So guys that have some at-bats. Offensively, there's no doubt about it. You heard me talk about this guy last year. We're led by John Rhodes. He was the co-freshman National Player of the Year. He was an All-American last year. He's an All-American basically every poll you see here. This guy is the package. And I know I got a lot of questions last year. Manager putting a lot of pressure on a guy and, you know, for being a freshman. But, man, I just know how this guy works. And his leadership, his work ethic, his talent, this guy is the package. That's exactly what John Rhodes is. And then guys like Arajanu, Austin Schultz, TJ Collette, really talented offensive players. So excited about them. A guy that's really stood out in early spring is Cam Hill. This guy has done everything to impact the baseball game, defensively, offensively. So excited about those guys. And then last 2 comments, just some things about some of our alumni. Super excited for Eddie Brooks. For those of you who know Eddie Brooks, he's here in town. I mean, this guy graduated this fall. We had some other alumni graduate this fall as well. But Eddie Brooks, he graduated this fall after 30 years from the first time he stepped foot on our campus. And just a terrific story. And hope some of you maybe even pick that up because When you think about that, 30 years, the perseverance, and that was really neat. And then huge shout out to Evan White for his major league debut, and then first year being a Gold Glove winner. I think all of you that have covered our sport, that was no shocker there, but to do it in his first year. So excited about those guys.
All right, guys, if you want to do raise hand feature, we'll get to questions. If you can't find that on your laptop, you can send it in the chat, and we'll get you called on from there. We'll start with Eric Decker.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you guys again. So a lot of the preparation for you guys going into this year is about what's different heading in. But as we saw with the release of the schedule, your guys' schedule to start the year is kind of similar to what it was last year. And then obviously last year you have the sweep at TCU to start, but then you guys finish off 11-3 for the rest of the year. So my question is basically, what kind of expectations, or what do you want to see out of the first series against North Carolina next weekend? Because you guys know that you can come right back to KPP and bounce back.
Wins, Eric. We need wins. I want to see exactly what we've been working on, our identity. I want to see our improvement on defense. I want to see our pitchers attack the way they've been doing. Coach Rozell's done an awesome job of making sure that we work fast, we throw strikes, we put hitters away. I want to see that. Everything. They don't need to do anything different. And then offensively, the plan and the job that Coach Williams has done, obviously we know how talented he is as a coach, and then Coach Coggin, to be able to execute our identity offensively and to hit on all 6 phases of offense. That would be exactly what we're looking for, just and no different, and then obviously if we trust that plan and process, the wins will come, but they don't need to do anything different.
Thanks.
Dick Gabriel.
Coach, you and I talked about this a little bit after practice the other day, but last year the injuries forced you to make lineup changes, positional changes, and I'm wondering, will you maintain those, and how did that help you in kind of a backhanded way?
Yeah, well, you're right, Dick. And we were shell-shocked last year. That was tough to lose 3 offensive starters really like that. And to our guys' credit, that just provided another opportunity for somebody else. And I would say the biggest adjustment this year defensively is Austin Schultz is going to move from the infield to the outfield, and he's done a really good job there. So that would be the biggest one. And, by that happening, it gave guys a lot of opportunities like Zeke Lewis to get a ton of playing time. And, so excited he's back, for his 6th year, which is kind of crazy, right? You start talking about having somebody here for 6 years. You heard Coach Lawson hit on that. He's going to be 24 years old. We'll have 2 24-year-olds on our team. And so that would be some of the 2, maybe the biggest adjustment would be Schultz moving from the infield to the outfield. And then, the job that Estep did, getting his opportunity to take advantage of that a year ago. So looking forward to see, those guys carry over.
Keith Farmer.
Hey, Coach. Almost a year later after this pandemic, can you take us back to that moment when you all realized that your season was over, and, just probably the confusion that was going on within the team just at that time, not thinking about now, but back then?
Yeah, good question, Keith. Bags were packed. We're getting ready to go to Nashville. Our basketball team's there, right? Our basketball team's playing good. We're like, sweet, we're going to be at Nashville right when the SEC tournament's going on. And Jason Cummins called and said, hey, man, you guys haven't left yet, right? I'm like, no. He's like, hold on, don't load that bus. And it was so fast. I mean, it was, hey, we don't know if we're going to play yet, don't leave, to, hey, the series is canceled. So we practiced. We're like, hey, let's just go outside and practice. And then middle of our practice, one of our staff members come up to me and say, hey, Coach Minge, they just canceled Omaha. And we're like, what? And it was just a series of emotions. And I didn't know what to say to our seniors, right? I mean, they're in tears. We meet in the locker room and they're in tears that, hey, the season's over. Well, like, hold on. And I think in those moments, as a coach and as a leader, you just got to speak what we know to be true and what the facts are. And that's what we did that day. We just said, hey, look, yes, we know the NCAA National Championship is canceled, but our great commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, Greg Sankey, who I think has done just an amazing job with everything. I think we saw that with college football. But we had postponed our season. And at that moment, we just said, hey, this is what we know. Yes, there is no Omaha, there is no Vanderbilt series right now, but we're going to hold on to what we know to be true. And we will go and adjust from there. And man, there was some tears shed. That was hard. Some of those guys thought, hey, man, that might be the last time I ever played. I didn't even know. I might have just played my last game. And thankful for the NCAA to give those guys their eligibility back, because we got guys like TJ, Jaron, and Zeke to be able to come back was big.
Jeff Drummond.
Hey, Nick, you had mentioned the defense a couple of times already, and the desire to kind of change the culture. I'm wondering, what kind of things can you do for a guy, especially during COVID, to challenge himself to improve defensively? Are there drills that they could do in that regard? And kind of as a quick follow-up after that, with what Evan did in Major League Baseball, can you play off of that at all for inspiration for guys and say, hey, look what's, kind of possible?
Yeah. Well, Jeff, I'll do your first question. One thing we did during the quarantine is, I don't know about for you guys, but I was rattled. Like, it took me 3 or 4 days to process. Like, here we are getting ready. We're in the middle of about to start SEC play. And the next thing you know, my wife is stuck with me at the house 24/7. And it's just like, whoa, hold on. Like, and it took me about 3 or 4 days to be like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, what am I doing? How do I lead our guys? And I hope you appreciate my vulnerability there. I didn't know. So one thing we did was we got together with Sean Umbro, who works with Horizon Performance and does a lot of our leadership. And we had our guys create what we call like these IDPs, these individual development plans. And we asked them to go through, and we even asked them that, hey, let's create a schedule. What is your day going to look like for these next couple months? And we did not want to look up in 3 months and go, did we just waste that time? Could we get better? So some of the guys, what we did, they created goals. They created some things that they would do that they wanted to work on, whether it was their body, whether it was their offense, whether it was their defense, and they had to go out and work on it. And they had all the drills. There was no new drills. They had all the things, and we provided them with opportunities and platforms and just encouraged them. And at the time, Jeff, like, they weren't even allowed to go outside. Like, there could be no shared equipment. Like, they're throwing balls up against the wall, and you're just trusting that they got their work done. And our guys did. I'm telling you, this is a mature group, and a group that I trust, and all of our coaches. And then Evan, obviously, you can pull on it. That was all coaching. I mean, come on, like, no. That guy it's unbelievable. I mean, Jeff, it was unbelievable. I think, of just seeing all the people on this call, and all of us just said, man, that guy's including Doug Flynn, is like, man, that's the greatest first baseman I've seen since, like, what did he say, Keith Hernandez, and that's coming from a Gold Glove winner. But the amount of pride that Evan took in his defense, we can draw from that. And we've shared stories about our guys with just how Evan, he never gave a swing away. His commitment to just his game was really fun to watch and to be around. And what a joy it was to just watch him go about his work.
Derek Terry.
Hey, Nick, with Ryan Hagenow, what's kind of stood out about him in the fall and early spring? And I guess two, how realistic is it that he could earn one of those weekend jobs this season? Good.
Well, Derek, Ryan, if you were to ask Ryan, I mean, he didn't necessarily have the best fall, but he's a worker. He's a worker, and he actually threw yesterday, and man, I thought it was his best outing in a Kentucky uniform. I mean, his tempo was fantastic. His deception. Derek, after practice, I asked the guys, does anyone have any feedback? Positional players, anyone have any feedback for Ryan? And man, you would thought I was like, handing out like Snickers or something. All these hands started going up, and they were just complimenting him about his tempo, his deception, the movement of his slider, his fastball. Derek, opening weekend, he will not be in that rotation. But as talented as he is, I think you can just see that guy coming. And I think much like maybe Zach Thompson, if we looked up at the end of the year, that guy, is he pitching some of the most valuable innings on a team? I definitely could see it.
All right, we've got time for three more. We'll go with Josh Sullivan, then John Roberts, and Eric Decker.
Hi, Coach. You mentioned how difficult it was toward the end of last season, knowing the season was over and just everything that went with the pandemic. Now you guys are starting back up, but the pandemic's still going on. As a coach in a program, what's your biggest concern with that?
Well, for me, the biggest concern is the guys getting the virus. You know, I actually had it in November, and man, it put me out, and had a fever for 7 straight days between 100 and 103, and you know, just thankfully, you know, Christian Reeves never got it, none of the coaches, none of the players. I just don't want them to get it. That's my biggest concern, is them maybe, you know, contracting the virus. So just thankful for Josh Walker, our trainer. He's done such a great job with our guys and our staff, and making sure that we have all the best practices and policies in place. But I would say them contracting the virus would be my biggest concern.
John Roberts.
Hey, Coach. John Roberts with Southern Slams Baseball. Just, I guess, shifting focus to the first series of the season, with playing a tough opponent like North Carolina. Talk about how that will prepare you for the rest of the season, especially with the SEC.
Yeah, there's absolutely. I think, you know, for us, I mean, there's four weekends prior to SEC play, and typically, you know, you got to have one or maybe 2 weekends that kind of mimics the league prior to getting in there, and that's what North Carolina will do for us. I mean, obviously, when you look at their history and their tradition, Scott Forbes is now their head coach. You know, thankful he got that job after being there, the longtime assistant. That was neat to see. So with Coach Fox retiring, but I mean, that's a program that's been to Omaha. They've had All-Americans. They've got tons of big leaguers, and that's exactly what it's going to do. It will prepare us for our league.
All right, we'll wrap up Coach Minge with Eric Decker.
Okay. So I just have 2 final questions to finish off. So one, talking about the infield, I assume you're going to want TJ and Zeke out on the right. And then you already mentioned previously adding Ryan and Alonzo into there. But what are your plans over at third base? And then just quickly following up that, do you still plan on having Dylan in the rotation? Because you mentioned moving some other pieces around there.
Yeah, so good question. So right now, Estep has played some second base over there too. Jake Plasiak's a guy that's played he's played some third base. And then Ruben Church is a freshman that's had a really good spring. So, and then behind the plate, you guys know this, Colton Kessler, he's back. He's obviously going to get some meaningful innings behind home plate as well, especially with his experience in leadership. So, you know, those spots are all kind of, you know, still trying to be decided from there. So Dylan's out right now. He's got a little oblique deal that he's been battling. So Dylan will not be in the rotation opening weekend. But obviously, that's something that you could potentially see in the future for sure.
So, thank you.
All right, guys, we'll have John and Jimmy are both here since they're together.